Welcome everybody to Taxonomy Tuesday. My name is Chris. I'll be your host this evening. We take turns helping each other identify fungi that we found, either in nicer and wetter weather, warmer perhaps. And you could email it in to Taxonomy Tuesday or share from your own device. If there's anybody who would like to do that, please put it in the chat and we'll get to it. We have some that sent in. Virginia sent in one. Would you like to start us off, Virginia?
I'm trying to get rid of whatever. I'm trying to open the video and the sound.
Oh, there you are.
There, okay. Yeah, I sent it in. It's just a mushroom, and I'm not a mushroom expert.
Let's
So
open this thing up. And oh. Try this again.
there. Okay, this was in the lawn next door under a pin oak tree. That's the surface. It looks browner on there, but it was more off-white, a little bit toward grayish. That's the gills, which were brown. That's the edge where they join the stem. Was about 2.5 inches across, and that's the spore print, which was brown, and the spores, which measured about 10 by 5 microns. The biggest ones. There's some smaller.
Yes, ovoid. Let me see that first. Is that an agaricus?
I'm thinking that. I mean, I don't know mushrooms very much, but I guess that's sort of what I thought it might be.
It looks like the gills are attached to the stalk, though.
Right.
Are they attached or free?
It's hard to say. That right there, yeah.
They are attached.
They're attached right there, but is that? It looks like they're free up there in the upper left. I'm wondering if that's some sort of abnormality there, where they look very white, and they look like they're attached. But I suppose we're going to have to say they're attached.
I guess, yes. Which means it's not Agaricus, or it is?
No Agaricus species have attached gills.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So maybe some sort of Satharella.
To 2 inches across?
It was, yeah, 2.5 inches across. That one was a little smaller. Just a white stem. I didn't see any ring. If there was, I couldn't see it.
Why not the Hebeloma?
Dude, the spore print is too dark. At least the Hebelomas that I know, they have kind of a light brown spore print. And that really looks like an agaricus print, but that could be Sapthorella. Really dark, little bit of purplish tinge to it, maybe.
Maybe.
It's a good thick print, that's for sure.
I mean, it is a bit the wrong
Yeah, also
color.
Hebeloma have bigger spores, and they typically don't top out at 10. And they're shaped differently. They're more almond shaped. I mean, the spores look like agaricus spores. The spore print looks like agaricus. The mushroom, the gestalt looks like agaricus, but that one photo shows gills that appear to be attached. So I don't know. I mean, maybe the gills got smashed a little bit in that one spot or something, and or there's something growing on the mushroom. I don't know.
Brandon, what is it what you were saying?
I didn't see the spores, and I was just wondering. It does look a little more chocolatey than like orange or kind of Cortinarius type thing, but the macro, I was thinking Cortinarius.
That's a pretty dark brown print, though. Is that some kind of growth on those gills, that white stuff that's
That's what I'm thinking. That there's something growing there and making it look like they're attached. Because look up over to the left, it looks like but they might be seceding also. That's another thing. They may have been attached and broke away on the left.
Yeah, hard to say. Yeah, that definitely looks like some
Well,
kind of
those
Are there
wavy gills
species?
don't really remind me of agaricus, though.
yeah.
Are there fall Agaricus species?
Yeah, I found agaricus only less than 2 weeks ago. I found agaricus on our
Cool.
property, and horse mushrooms typically
I think I have.
occur in fall. But yeah, I found agaricus on my lawn, and I live in a pretty cold spot too. Only about 2 weeks ago.
Virginia, what was the habitat?
Lawn underneath a pin oak tree, alongside a driveway.
Okay.
The one on the left that you can't see very well, it looks like the gills are free. The smaller one?
The smaller one was on the left, yeah.
Hmm.
Did you happen to section it and see if there was any color change?
I did. I didn't see any color change. I
Okay.
saved it for a little while, but it's starting to get moldy, so I'm not going to save it. But I did not see any color change in the stem or the cap.
Cool, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
When was this?
This was November 1st. It was
Hmm.
about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago or so.
It was a tiny bit warmer.
Yeah, it looks like an Agaricus to me.
That was my first guess.
Yeah.
Well,
Agaricus usually have more of a cigar brown print. This is really dark.
yeah, but it's got that like that chocolate brown. Well,
Mystery mushroom.
as some of them are. Nice. Well, thank you for bringing a mushroom to us.
Okay.
I'm going to look through Quo's key here and see if I can make any headway.
Yeah, I don't have good keys really for mushrooms. I'll leave it as it is, and I'll take any suggestions that are added to the iNaturalist.
Nice. Thank you very much, Virginia.
Okay.
Tristan, would you like to share?
Sure. So I apologize if this is something you guys have seen a bunch, but I just got a couple questions about it. I'm just pretty positive it's an Amanita. Uh, yeah.
Do you have more pictures?
I do. I can't. The arrow's not showing up where I can slide over for some reason.
We can see the
Yeah, I
arrow.
can see
Maybe
the
it's
arrow.
Okay.
on ours.
Yeah. Zoom was hiding it. There we go.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
This is the
Amanita.
one. Yeah. This is the one on the right. And at first I didn't feel like digging it up, so I kind of just dug around the bottom to see what the base looked like. And it looked pretty small. And then one of the IDs I was looking at was Craniolata, but it looked like the bulbs on those are pretty big. So that's kind of what threw me a little bit. Like I said, I didn't dig it up at first. So I used the front-facing camera to take a picture of the gills like this. Um, one question I had was that why do the gills get wavy like that? Does anybody know? Because I mean, if it was an Amanita, like they're usually pretty straight, right?
Immature.
They're bunched up.
Yeah.
I was thinking it meant that they're old, so this just means that they're just immature.
Yeah, they haven't fully extended, I would say. Give it a few hours and they probably looked better.
Okay.
Igor is a better one to comment.
But yeah, I agree with that. When these things mature, the cap really opens up. Those
Yeah.
those gills expand. That that sheath, that veil, that skirt,
Yeah.
kind of breaks away from the edge of the cap.
Yeah, I have
And
a
I,
couple. I think I might be able to see that.
So it looks like it's got kind of a yellow ground color on the cap.
Yeah, when yeah, I'll get to this one and a couple more pictures. It's very brownish on the top.
Oh, brownish. Huh.
Yeah, this is a third one. The first picture was two that were next to each other. This is a third one, a little bit more open. I think it was the most open out of any of them. But so then I did dig this one up here. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. The color on here, this one. That's the only thing. I mean, that's one of the things that was throwing me from Craniolata is it's so brown.
The picture prior to this one, it looked like it had some yellow velar material. Is that yellow velar material on the right, or is that?
Yeah, that's from yeah.
And it is yellow.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I didn't even notice that. Yeah, it's hanging off the margin right here.
Igor's saying Amanita chrysoblema, no mysteries here, and I was thinking the exact same thing. I find it. This is white pine. I find them in white pine. Is that white pine?
I don't know what it is. The only thing I know about pines is that there's different needles. So this is 5 needles.
Yeah, you got 5 right there in a bundle underneath the
Yeah,
velar
yeah.
material.
Right, true.
Yeah, usually the base has a little bit of a wider bulb, but those rings on the base look like chrysoblema, aka Muscaria variety Gissoii. The cap is kind of orangey in that one photo, but I think that's just the lighting of the camera.
They can be orange.
Yeah, they can be orange. This
bulb it
one's
was.
sort of a shade of orange. It seems a little off for that species, but yeah, I agree with Igor. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah.
Oh, here. So this is more excavated. You can see
Yeah.
more of the base. So it does widen out quite a bit
Okay.
to a bulb.
Yeah,
Like-
the cap can be any color other than dark red. You know, it can be different shades of yellow, yellow brown, yellow orange, orange, gravitating toward darker orange or almost red. But this is all one species,
Okay.
at least here in the east. That is.
Can somebody just put that in the chat?
Yep, already in there.
Okay, thanks. And what is it? Why does it do this with the base of the stem here? Where is it? Where do those
That's how the vulva is structured in the species, or all muscaroids for the most part. It just
So,
comes in concentric rings.
so the way it comes out of the shell, it just leaves the rings.
Yeah, it has a bulb. The primordium has a bulb, and it's not a totally elongating stipe like it is in section vaginata. It has a very strong uh, uh, internal limb of the vulva, and that's what it is. It's not the vulva itself, like you see on the cap. It's internal structure.
Oh,
Well, it is still a vulva, but it's the limbus internus, so to speak.
all right.
That's what it is. Yeah, so this is section Amanita, and the muscaroids is just, a tip of the iceberg. Just one particular group of species from that section, but all of them have bulbs, all of them have rings, almost all the time. But there are species that are ringless in section Amanita, but those are in the minority. And marginal striations are usually present, although in this species they are often very short,
Yeah, there's
especially when they're young.
some on one of the other ones. No, it was this one.
Yeah, but the muscaroids have a certain gestalt about them that make them special. And as a group, they're easy to recognize. Another species that is found in New Jersey at its northernmost limits is Amanita persicina, which used to be bunched into Muscaria, but it was promoted to a species of its own in 2015 by Gemmel and Tullis, and genetics certainly support that notion. I have the original paper from 2008 by those authors, and they make a good claim using their phylogeny that we have as many as 8 muscaroid species in the United States, including the original Muscaria, which is present in Alaska, I think.
Thanks.
So there are definitely species, and they'll have to be promoted to species with probably more contemporary genetic evidence. And I'm just kind of surprised that the authors of that paper did not promote those species, or most of them, into individual entities at that time. Somebody asked me on MO whether we can basically use chrysoblema and just move on. And I said, somebody's got to make it an official publication. I think the evidence is there, but with more stricter standards for publishing right now, you probably need more evidence than that, maybe even as much as doing whole genome sequencing. But chrysoblema appears to be the best name. An early name is Muscaria variety alba, but since Speck was describing that species as a variety of Muscaria, he was already wrong. We don't have Muscaria here. We have our own North American muscaroid species.
I'm sure they'll sort it out eventually.
How does Gasawii tie in here, or doesn't it?
That's chrysoblema.
That's the other name, okay. All right, I thought that was the case. Thank you.
Right. I think that was Rod Tallis's argument. If you go to his website, which I think changed the URL, I think it's called Two Labs now, something like that. And I think he argues that chrysoblema is our best name for our North American muscaria. In the East, that is. Although I think it's also present in the West
And
to some extent.
is not a separate species. It is one and the same.
Oh, what's that?
It is one and the same as Gesawi. That is not a separate species. Right.
Yeah. So for the time being, on Mushroom Observer, we have both of those names. They are mutually synonymous, but they're both undeprecated. So you can use either of those. But hopefully, eventually, Gisawa is going to go away, and we'll be left with chrysoblema.
Great.
We have Brandon and Dave sent stuff in. Which one of you would like to go?
Dave, you want to go first?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Let me go first today, because I
Sure.
think we're gonna watch this documentary later. So anyway, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll go. By the way, I found my Agaricus. I had actually not labeled the photo. I forgot, and it was found on the 4th of November on my yard. So that is pretty late for me to find Agaricus. Okay, so this thing here. Oh, and by the way, I also want to mention before I start, Igor, you're there, right? Those strange mushrooms under the hemlock tree on the lawn with the yellow gills. I had some better spore analysis on those, and it really supports that those are just rubescent Amanita, probably just one of the Amera rubescens species, but the cold weather must have caused it to change to the strange yellow orange color, and especially the gills were yellow. That was from last week. Okay, so this is different. This is from under Scots pine. These are in moss near the Scots pine, like on a border between the trees and a baseball field, like the extreme outfield of the baseball field. And so I think these are some sort of Clitocybe. I believe that Clitocybe subditopa or something like that is a name that John Plischke and Sarah, I forget Sarah's last name, she was with John when they visited here a few years ago and forayed in this same site and had some similar mushrooms sequenced. But the ones they had sequenced, the gill attachment was different than these. These have sort of a subdecurrent attachment, more like a typical Clitocybe, really. If you
Cannot click around in this thing.
move ahead, yeah, if you click on the arrow, it should move ahead.
Yeah, it's not doing anything.
Are you logged into MO?
No.
Yeah, you probably have
But
to be.
I don't know. Maybe if I stop sharing, usually it works.
Yeah, it's funny that because that always works.
Hey, Dave, I was looking at the ones in the upper left of that photo. They're clearly in moss. Are they that one, that clump seems to be really excavated? Was there like a lot of mycelium or something like that? Was that like a
No,
little
I just reached underneath with my hand and dug some out so that I
Gotcha.
didn't break the stalks.
Yep.
I didn't want to break the stalks, so I just did that on purpose.
These are cool.
Yeah, they're interesting. The spores suggest Clitocybe also. They're that sort of sublacrymoid, not very large.
Mhm.
White spore print, not amyloid, not reactive as far as I could tell in Meltzer's. So, yeah, so there we go. Yeah, now you're able to advance. Not very big, as you can see. The gills are sort of adnate, subdecurrent. And I also found something very similar. I thought these may have been Gamundia striatula, which grow late in the season in similar kind of habitat near pines a lot often. But the spores are wrong. The spores do not look like Gamundia spores. These look like Clitocybe spores. They're, if you click on, yeah, if you enlarge there, I don't know how much enlarging it's going to do because I cropped it. Oh, that's enough though. You can see the shapes. They're kind of sublacrimoid. See, they have like the big apiculus on one end. So they're kind of tapered. So Gamundia triatula spores should be subglobose or broadly ellipsoid, and these are not. So it's, I ruled that out. And there are quite a few of them, and I think I found this species before. So maybe these are this Clitocybe subditopa, I think is the name, or that's close. But just with the gills attached a little bit differently than the ones John and Sarah found. Maybe these were just a little bit more highly expanded, and the gills got dragged down the stalk a little bit. So interesting. I've got collections saved. I'm hoping to maybe have them sequenced, but my best guess would be this Clitocybe. I think it's subditopa, or that's close. For now, I'm just calling them Clitocybe.
Mhm.
Cool find. Can't help with,
Yeah, I
it
wasn't
seems
really
like you know it
anybody
pretty
to
well.
know what those are.
Yeah.
And this thing here, so I'm my guess is some kind of Pholiota, but the spores are really pretty big for Pholiota, and I didn't see really any germ pore. Now maybe I didn't look hard enough. These were in the parking lot of a Wegmans grocery store. There's these little islands in the parking lot where they just spread some mulch and plant some things. There was a small tree planted on this island, and this was on the 14th, so this was really not long ago. And these were viable. They dropped a lot of spores, and the spore print color was not. It didn't really look like Hypheloma, so it wasn't like a real dark purple brown. It was more of just a regular brown. I should have tried to get a picture of the spore print, but it was just sort of a regular shade of brown. There's a young one. The gills are not yet changing. And I think that what looks like a ring there might just be a little crease on the stalk, because I don't think I saw any signs of a veil on these. So I think they're probably some sort of Pholiota, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they could be like flamuline or flammula, maybe. So that's where I found a lot of cystidia on the gills also. That's coming up. But these spores are pretty big for Pholiota spores. They're over 10 microns long. Some of them are at least. And then there were quite a few cystidia. And at first I was just mounting in KOH because I wanted to see if I found any cystidia that had turned golden yellow, which would have indicated a possibility of Hypheloma, or at least something in the Trichaptum. I think that's where Hypheloma are placed in that family, but I didn't find golden yellow cystidia, and there were quite a few cystidia. They showed up a little better in Congo red, which I also ended up doing a mount in Congo red as well. This one you can see pretty well, and that's just in KOH. But there were quite a few of these bowling pin, long-necked cystidia. So you can see it. You can see there's a lot of them there. Some of them are a little cloudy, but you can see they're there. And I think I did get one or two photos. Yeah, so I guess I didn't take many photos in the Congo red, but they did show up a little bit. It was a different gill that I smashed in the Congo red. There seemed to be not as many of them. So I don't know. Pholiota. And those cystidia look a little different, those last ones. Maybe they were Chylocystidia. I don't know. I didn't keep track of where the gill edge was.
Yeah, Dave.
Just,
Dave, I'm just on Michael Quebec, just looking up cystidia. These were on you said wood chips, like a planted area.
like mulch, like pretty, like topsoil, probably
Okay.
with mulch mixed in, and there's weeds growing. There's like grass and stuff growing here. You can
'Cause
see it was mowed.
There are some terrestrial foliotas.
Yes, there are, and it does not look unlike them,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah. I might have. Yeah, I have one that I just emailed in that I think is a foliota, but the spores look much different. Yours look like foliota spores.
Yeah, a little bit big though, and I don't see a real prominent
H.
pore. No, the plage you look for on Galerina. On Foliotas usually are pretty symmetric, but they have a germ pore usually. And if we want to look at the spores and see if we can see a germ pore, we can do that. But I didn't really see anything that looked. I mean, there were a few of them that looked like a little bit truncate, maybe.
Good picture.
That first spore picture,
Yeah,
that's the best
one.
one probably right there.
But
I don't know how well that will enlarge. That's about as good as it's going to get. I don't know. Maybe they are a little bit truncate on one end. Pholiota probably.
The one he just was on, Chris, that you were just on, does look like it's got a little bit of that, pronged effect, right? Kind of looks like it's got two prongs, which would indicate a germ pore. But I don't know.
Yeah, hard to say.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like even that there.
Yeah, it's Pholiota, I suppose.
But again, these spores are pretty big, huh?
Yeah, they're pretty big. They're maybe a little bit over 10 microns. That seems to be a little large for Pholiota. So there's Flammula is like a split off of Pholiota.
Yeah, but do any of those grow on the ground? Flammula?
They grow on wood, but there may have been wood buried.
True. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that first picture you can see, because these are like, this is all that black wood chippy.
Yeah, it's like black mulch. There's probably a fair amount of wood chips mixed in.
And them same crappy lilies they put everywhere.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing to find. I was just carrying groceries out of the store back to my car, and I saw them. And I always have my camera
as
with
cold
me.
in the
and you
parking
said,
lot as well.
Dave, you said
yeah, the parking lot, the macadam, soaks up sunlight. It's dark, and it gets warm during the day, so it might not get quite as cold on those little islands at night. And this is down near Wilkes-Barre. It's not, the elevation's not particularly high, maybe 500 feet, 600 feet above sea level.
Dave, you said you got a spore print, but it wasn't included.
No, I didn't take a picture of it, but it was brown.
Yeah,
it was like a brown, not inconsistent with what you would expect from Pholiota.
Right. Yeah, neat.
So I have this listed as Connopus acervatus, but I think this might be Gymnopus. What's that one with the red stalk? I put it in the notes probably.
Retropus.
Well, Connopus is what I've listed these at, but there's a Gymnopus species. Oh, I just put species. I should have listed. Ugh. You know what? If you click on the link that takes you to the INAT observation, I think I may have listed the other name there, either Connopus acervatus or Gym. Oh, okay. Okay. There's also a Gymnopus species, and I should have put the name here.
Erythropus.
Yeah, that's it. Erythropus. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. Yeah, it has a red stalk. But they both of these species grow in the same sort of habitat under pines in clusters. The spores are not that much different for the two species, so I'm not sure what I have here. I saved a good sample of these because there were a lot of them.
So it's between Gymnopus and what is the other one you're thinking?
Connopus acervatus, which used to be a Gymnopus. I'm pretty sure that used to be Gymnopus.
Cool.
Yeah, and the spores are sort of sublacrymoid, ellipsoid to somewhat sublacrymoid, and it fits either thing, Connopus or I'm pretty sure it fits either one. No, I got a good sample of it. You know, hopefully I get sequenced.
Well, Gymnopus erythropus, isn't that one of the ones that has a really strigose kind of mycelium at the base?
No, that's you're thinking of semi-herpes and then the other one, and they look like this, by the way. And the other one is spongiosis, I think. Those have hairy strigose stipe
Yeah.
bases.
Yeah,
Yep. But they look like this otherwise.
Right.
Mhm. There were a lot of them. There were several clusters under some white pines on a lawn.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. I did have those confused, erythropus and spongiosipes, but this looks a lot like
The spongiosipes?
Gymnopus.
Okay, yeah.
This looks like a lot like erythropus, but I'm not familiar with this Connopus. So cool.
It's one or the. I'm pretty sure it's one or the other. But it's interesting how similar those two are, and you don't see in field guides a mention of them being similar because they're listed under different genera. And people who write field guides many times will just give lookalikes in the same genus.
That kind of defeats the look-alike thing, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah. Because I think a lot of times there are species in two different genera that really look pretty similar. I think that's a fairly common thing.
All right, so I'm on Myco-Quebec real quick. G. erythropus is easily distinguished from G. dryophilus and Cannabis acervatus by its distinctive green reaction of the stipiopellis and alkalinus under the microscope. So
yeah, you know,
yeah,
I mounted I crushed a little bit of the stock in KOH, and you know, which is an alkaline chemical, and I mean, it looked a little bit dingy green, but I didn't see these like grains you were supposed to find.
right.
These green grain, but probably my scope's not good enough for that.
But if that's what it takes to ID these things, easily identified,
Yeah,
is not
easily. Yeah.
is not is a bit misleading.
Yeah, well, yeah, I see what you're saying. It reminds me of being a graduate student in mathematics, where somebody would say, like, it is easy to see that, and then,
Using
half
this
an hour later, the
using
explanation.
this formula yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
good point. So,
if you get some of the material and you put wood on it and you'll get grains?
yeah, there was supposed to be like grainy things, or that you find when you mount the pilot or the stipipellus, the surface of the stalk. I have some of these. I have enough of these that I could, if I really want to, I can fool around with them a little more. But I'm not sure if some of these reactions continue to hold up when the material is dehydrated. So, but maybe I'll devote one to seeing what else I can find.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought these were pretty interesting. And so this one, I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but it's just a pretty cool observation. It's Collybia cookei. So there's two of these old school Collybias, because now like bluets and things like that are Collybia, but these are like the real deal Collybias that grow on decayed remains of Laccaria and Russula mushrooms, and they grow from these little Sclerotia, and there's two species that do that: cookei and tuberosa. Tuberosa has larger, smoother, browner Sclerotia. So the Sclerotia here, you can see them in the one photo. They're just these sort of, they look like little kernels of corn or something. Or that one's the biggest one right there, kind of irregular, yellowish. So I'm pretty sure this is Collybia cookei, based on the way the Sclerotia look.
So you said these grow in decaying whatever
Yeah,
other
decayed.
mushrooms?
Sometimes you'll see the actual host mushroom really, really decayed and black,
Uh-huh.
but often the mushroom is so decayed that it just looks like soil.
Okay.
But
And
a
the
giveaway,
sclerotium are in the mushroom itself, or are they in the?
they're in the decayed mushroom.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to dig them out.
Okay.
The giveaway with these is you see these little groups. Like the original photo is a pretty good photo in terms of what you see in the field. You'll see this little area, maybe like 1/2 square foot, something like that. And it's just heavily populated by these little mushrooms, and you see the black,
Mhm.
in the substrate. So that's
Yeah.
probably the remains of the host mushroom.
Okay.
There's a third species that I forget the name that does not produce sclerotia.
So you had to dig the sclerotia out of this
Yeah,
black
yeah, you
stuff?
dig them out. It's the substrate is up real loose, in these, because it's basically a decayed mushroom that is virtual soil, and so it's easy to separate and explore for these little things.
Those are interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The real Collybias are interesting. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they look like shriveled up peas or, like you said, corn kernels.
Yeah,
I want to find these now.
the INAT has a name for this species based on the sclerotia. I forget what they call them.
Cool.
Yeah, not big, but I know I've seen stuff like that. But I have to pay
Yeah.
attention to it.
So this is an old observation from 2022, but I just got feedback on it. because I got DNA sequence on this, and I put it on INAT and MO, and Fredo Justo came on and confirmed that this is the correct name for this thing. It's a rather new name. I think it's a name. I think Justo and LeBouf are co-authors on this species. So it's a new Pluteus species. I don't have a lot of micro on it. It's one of these little guys. I found one of them. And an interesting thing, this day, 2022, August 26th, I found like 4 different species of Pluteus in the same place in Ricketts Glen State Park on the Falls Trail. And they were kind of like non-standard species, except for Hongoii. That one seems to be showing up a lot now. It's probably it's one that people were calling Cervinus for a long time. But this one doesn't look like Cervinus. It's small, it's dark, it's got this dark disc, it's got a real thin stipe. So Pluteus inexpectatus.
Yeah, is that stipe kind of yellowish, or
Yeah, it is
is
a
that
little yellowish. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, a little bit
cool.
yellowish. And another thing I found out, because I think it was the same day where I found Pluteus flavophilogeneus, and I ran into some controversy with that name on Michael Quebec, that saying that a lot of what has been called Pluteus leononis, it's a smaller orangey yellow thing, but now it is believed that those are just small versions of Pluteus flavophilogeneus. But this is not that one. This is a different species, a rather new species. There's only two observations of this on INET, mine and Huafang. And there's 2 observations on MO, mine and Huafang. So it's a pretty good find. And also on this same day, there's something on MO and INAT from, I think this from the same day, and I'm pretty sure the same day in the same location, that's being called Ohio 06 or something like that. And Fredo told me in a correspondence, because I send him all my Pluteus observations when I get feedback, I send them to him. And he told me that this Ohio 06 thing is going to be named pretty soon. But I don't want to use a name in public yet. So that was another one found on this, I believe, on the same day, and another small one like this, but yet another species. So Pluteus is really a very interesting genus.
Yeah, it's funny that the cap on this thing screams Pluteus.
Yeah. It's
Well,
when I found it, I knew it was a Pluteus. Well, especially also the free gills that are turning a little pink. And it was
I was
on
going
the
to say it's an interesting genus, but like it's so easy to get it to genus.
Yep.
Beyond that,
Yeah.
All the rest of the way is hard. Yeah, there's a few that you can get. There's a few you can get just from macroscopic traits and microscopic traits, but
well, you just said that thing about the one of the yellow ones that
yeah,
you
Leononis and Flavophilogeneus. Yeah, the what was thought to be 2 things is one. It's the
cool.
Nice. I think that was it for Dave.
okay. The song's over. Yeah, that was a good one. I thought I'd share it, and when I get a name on that other one, I'll share that. And it looks like this one quite a bit, actually, but it's a different species.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so I'll kind of hang around here. I'll stay logged in, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to say. I'm going to kind of be watching this documentary. Anyway, thank you. I'll sign off now in terms of having anything to say for a while.
All right. Let's get Brandon's stuff here.
Yeah, Dave, before you go, maybe we'll start with my last one because I'd like your input on it.
Oh, okay.
If you can go back to the email, because it's one of these terrestrial type, not that one. Go to the one that I have labeled as fungi. Yeah, that one. Thought it was a Hebeloma.
That looks like Hebeloma. What does the top of the stalk look like?
Yeah, like the gill attachment.
Yeah, usually on a lot of Hebelomas, you'll have these little flakes on the top. I don't see it on this one, but you don't always have them, and there's a lot of different species.
Yeah, and this
These look
isn't.
like Hebeloma, though. You get
I
like a
thought so.
light. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no. It was light brown. But it was very faint. So it you know, it didn't deposit heavy enough to really get a clear picture of the spore print color.
But
But I
more or
did,
less light brown, you think, because
yeah.
that's what Hebeloma spore prints usually look like. Not very dark brown.
And the spores were really, I mean, this thing was almost impossible to deal with. I've been dealing with a lot of pine barren small things.
Oh, look at the spore right in the middle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's got a little more of the almond shape, sort of. How big is that spore? Is that real
So I
big?
haven't. No, it's small.
Yeah, that's unusual for Hebeloma. That most of them have spores that are over 10, and almost all of
Right.
them have spores over 8 microns, as far as I can remember.
Right. And
Hmm.
these were I want to say 5 to 6. I have the measurements written down. I
Yeah,
just haven't done the math
they
on.
don't look like Pholiota spores, but a species that is easy to mix up with Hebeloma is Pholiota lenta.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with this thing.
Yeah,
But
and you can also throw in Pholiota mixta is another one.
and the other thing, because I'm collecting a lot from the pine barrens, I've been there's so much sand, so my micro is kind of lacking,
Yeah,
because I'm just crushing
I
cover
got it.
slips
I got
under
it.
the sand. Um, but one thing I did check for against Hebeloma was just hymeneal cystidia, because a lot of those they have really big hymeneal cystidia for Hebeloma, if I'm not mistaken.
Hebeloma have pretty good sized cystidia only on the edge for the most part. It's mostly only chylocystidia. Pleural cystidia are rare in Hebeloma.
Yeah, and I didn't see any, but again, I was working under my like second crushed cover slip, so I was just trying to get some
Yeah,
spores.
yeah.
But yeah, I think Pholiota is maybe a better bet here.
Can I see the spores again?
There's a
Might want
big
to check spores on mixta and lenta. The one in the middle looks like a small Hebeloma spore, but
That's what I
that
thought
one,
too.
yeah. The other ones look more ellipsoid, but you're right. Like it's hard. There's not a lot here because it's just because of the difficulties. It looks like you might have some grains of sand.
Some grains of sand. There's some broken glass in there. I
Oh
mean,
boy, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Brandon, do you have the specimen?
yeah,
Have you tried hitting it with a UV light?
yeah, I could. Which one
The-
is UV positive?
Apparently, Pholiota lenta.
Okay, cool. I assume that would still work if it's dry, right?
I think so.
Unknown. Pascal and
It's got
Rockefeller.
the
Go find him on Facebook. He'll probably know.
So I'm looking at an INAT observation that a Pholiota lenta that has a photo of the UV positive reaction, but in the notes he says UV bright blue, and then in the parentheses he says margin / slime question mark. So maybe it is only when it's moist or young.
Who's that observation from? If you don't want to share it on the YouTube, you can pop it in the chat maybe.
Believe my eyes. But judge you of my surprise when in about 10 minutes the whole bay was full of shit,
Nice.
as
Cool.
ever it could be. I do declare that I thought all London
All right, that was my one mystery mushroom, so I wanted to get Dave's opinion on it.
On Saturday morning, June 29th,
Got
1776,
some things to work with.
Henry Knox, whose artillery had convinced the British to flee Boston, was breakfasting with his wife Lucy on the second floor of a common.
Hey, Dave, is that Dave? Can you mute?
I'm muting right now.
That's an interesting bit that would fluoresce like that.
Yeah. I will check for that, although my light is in the car. I'm not going to do it right now. Let's go to the next one.
Cool.
All right, and then another tricholoma. There were so many of these in the Pine Barrens when I was out this day. This is how this group was growing. You would just see a mound, and you could see a tricholoma kind of growing, pushing through the debris there.
I've heard that described as a shrub.
A shrub, that's right. Yeah. This one, if you can zoom in, does have the dark radial streaks, but I don't know, is that enough to call this subsubjunctum? Subjunctum is European, right? So all that we have is subjunctum. That and the gills are more widely spaced than some of the tricholomas that I've been seeing, and they don't have that deep yellow color.
I don't think this is subsubjunctum.
Her mother suffered from what Betsy.
So do you think this is equestrian?
No.
The constant talk of war. And
What's that one that's Fumo or something? It's like a smoky yellow.
Is this also Fumoso luteum then?
No, this is not
Fumoso
Fumosa
yeah,
luteum.
that's going to suggest maybe that.
I disagree with that.
Okay, because I don't know that species very well. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, that had a different overall gestalt that when I was reading up on it. You know, this has got that short, stout stipe, kind of.
In Hanover County.
Again, those gills, I think they have that more white. They're more white with the yellow edge. Is that the way you describe some of these yellow gilled tricholomas?
Child.
Yeah, that's what they do. They just have like yellow tinge a lot of times, just toward the margin more of the cap. Also, usually more so.
Joke off the shipping on which his profit.
So Igor, what do you think this is? Do you have an opinion on this one?
Yeah, this is not Fumosa luteum. It could be something in the equestria group, because we have seen, from this year observations of this brownish capped species in that group of equestri. Well, the gills here are not yellow enough. Obviously, I don't think you can even call them yellow.
Yeah, equestriae should have pretty vividly yellow gills.
Yeah, or when they fade, they still retain some of that original color, enough to be called at least yellowish or dingy yellow, something like that. I think this species has white gills. You can see they're white closer to the stem, and
Right.
this thing probably was frostbitten or something like that, and the gills darkened. But this is this species has white gills, I think. The color is white, and it just darkened, in age and due to the elements. I don't know what the species is. It doesn't look familiar to me.
Yeah, and, Igor, you saw the black. I don't think it's vellum on the cap of these things, but um, what is that?
Yeah, they appear to be some radially arranged fibrils intermixed with detritus.
Yeah,
But I can see
definitely.
like at 10 o'clock and anywhere from 4 to 6 o'clock, these blackish, radiating center, from the center fibrils.
But yeah,
Yeah, there's
there's a lot of debris in there as well. I
yeah.
had
So
to
I,
I
I
had to
I can discern between the debris and what looks like to me, these fibrils. Um, so as they've said, substitutum, it's sort of a greenish yellow or greenish tinged yellow with very dark blackish fibrils that are denser than this. And the gills can be tinged with yellow. So I'm pretty sure this is not substitutum. And I also said this is not Phimosa luteum. Phimosa luteum doesn't have fibrils. And the color of the cap is different.
right. Yeah,
Um,
doesn't normally feature any orangish or brownish coloration, right?
right. For a moment, I thought this could be related to something from section Tricholoma close to estuans. Estuans has green, kind of a grayish green gills, or pale green, greenish, and the cap is also has a mix of basically green and kind of a tan or brownish. And the cap kind of looked like a faded estuans. There's also another species whose name I already forget, but it's the next of kin to estuans, and I have to look up that
Is that
Tricholoma
is that
opus.
is that intermedians
Maybe
or
it's
is that
intermedium. Maybe it's intermedium. Yeah, I have to look it up. I have to check that. Yeah.
How about Divicii?
No, this is not the VCA. I don't think it's the VCA.
Those loyal.
Um, the cap color is wrong, and the VCA should have some kind of a fibrils on the edge of the cap, as per the description by the Bissets. This is something that got stuck in my memory. But maybe we see something on the margins. I don't know. I wouldn't call them fibrils or. Yeah, I have to again look at the description more carefully. What the Bissets say about that, and
so
also what Michael Quebec says about that.
I described maybe even in my notebook. I'm looking at it right now. I described the margin as almost rimose. Maybe I did also in the post here, but that could also be. This was before it started to dry up. This was kind of really good conditions for the pine barrens. But even in good conditions in the pine barrens, one day of sunshine can dry up a fleshy capped mushrooms. So maybe that dried it up a little bit. But yeah, in my notebook, I described the margin as rimose. So it was kind of cracking as it approached the margin.
Right.
Not
So I mean, there's no question that this is a Tricholoma from section Tricholoma, and I did open up the Michael Quebec opus. I had the PDF downloaded to my hard drive, so I can open this gargantuan PDF file.
Hmm.
So the sister species of estuans is palustre, and yeah, and we may have the species in the pine barrens, and maybe it's difficult to separate it from estuans. I have to look up the description, but this is not the kind of name I would put on any of our tricholomas. I would put
right.
estuans. I think I know estuans by heart. So intermedium is a sister to the equestri complex. So maybe this is intermedium. I have to, again, I'm not familiar with that species.
Yeah.
So let me click and see what they say here in French. I can translate from from French using Google Translate. If you just bear with me, let me just highlight this. And go to Google Translate. French to English. Okay.
While Igor's working
Yeah.
that out, I want to mention I don't know Tricholoma all that well, but that gill spacing seems to contradict equestri proper, or even sensu lato even. Those things normally, don't they have really tight, kind of fragile-ish gills, or as they mature, do they kind of space out this way?
Man, what in my...
Yeah, I think Equestria usually has closer gills.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, I'm looking. So I got the whole description here from the Michael Quebec PDF, and they don't give a description of intermedium, but they say a few interesting things like this. Viewed from above in the forest, Tricholoma intermedium is a perfect lookalike of Tricholoma equestriae sansulato. The former is distinguished from the latter by its white gills. These are pale yellow to bright yellow in equestriae. The two species can grow side by side in the same habitat.
Well, I found this less than, I'd say, 40 feet from an absolute lock for equestriae. So
yeah.
Maybe that's
apart from the color of the gills, yellow in the first and perfectly white in the second. By the second, it means here intermedium. No macroscopic or microscopic characteristics seem to distinguish them, except for the pointed conical shape of the cap, sometimes observed in the Tricholoma intermedium. So basically, they say it's a lookalike of equestriae. So I don't know if this is intermedium, but it could have faded, and we've seen again collections of allegedly equestriae from this year with yellow gills and brown caps that fall in the complex, in the equestriae complex. So maybe this is intermedium. Everything else that I have here in the tree, I don't think it's a match. So
is
Discuss
palestri?
palestri.
Yeah, is palestri in there?
Palustri is in there, but it's a lookalike of estuans, and estuans doesn't have white gills.
Palustri also, palustri translates to swamp, and from what I can see, palustri is the Tricholoma palustri is typically found in wetlands.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Palustri mean swampy, yeah.
Yeah, it says Palustra is a hardwood associate. It says in the Bissett book.
Yeah, mostly oaks. So this one though, it didn't have that conical shape. Is that not a reliable trait for tricholomas?
When you say conical shape, do you mean like the gestalt of the thing? Because
the cap, the cap here is indented. It's not, it doesn't stick up. It's not a bell-shaped cap.
Yep.
Which is seems to be an ID feature for intermedium.
Yeah,
I-
well,
Yeah, like Fumosa luteum that we looked at last week. Is that the shape that we're talking about there? You know, kind of bullet shaped, bell shaped. Can't
Yeah,
all.
it's got, kind of a nub or a nipple at the top, or be broad or narrow, but it's definitely triangular. This one's wavy and it's indented at the top. It's almost sub in fundibular.
Mm.
I mean, I'm looking at photos of intermedia and microquebec, and it's definitely pointed at the top in the center of the cap.
All right. Well, things to consider. I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah, it says the Bisset book says an intermedium sometimes with a broad umbo.
Other times with a narrow umbo, or sometimes without it.
But, probably more or less plain,
Table.
not raised. Let's see. Becoming plain, sometimes with a broad umbo.
Yeah, I mean, microquebec has this tricholoma characterized by its bell-shaped cap with conical campanulate and often umbonate when mature, sometimes with a prominent nipple.
It sounds like the cap shape is fairly variable for intermedium. It looks like it's a little bit raised in the middle. Like I would call that almost
Yeah,
a broad umbo.
in this picture, it looks more raised than the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely it was both, right? It was like in funnel shape, like it was raised closer to the margin, but there was also a little bit of a umbo point. Notice how you can't see those streaks in the profile photo, so you can see it's kind of sunken in.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. I see what you're saying.
yeah, I'm looking at this cap, and the colors sort of resemble something in the equestria group. I think they changed a little bit because of the weather, but there's sort of greenish tinge in them as well, and the brown. Well, if you save this collection, maybe eventually you will get this thing sequenced.
Yep.
Because microscopically, I think this is a dead end.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
didn't even. I've
yeah.
never even. I honestly, I've never put a tricholoma under the microscope.
Yeah, it's just as bad as Amanita for the most part. The section vaginata, you know.
Yeah, they're not very interesting, really.
No.
What I've found, the Pileopellis, I guess you sometimes get information from.
Yeah, spore sizes overlap, and you get
Yeah,
nothing
and they're
from
all
that.
really small, and the
Yeah.
spores are really hard to see too because they're so hyaline. Sometimes
Exactly. They're small, boring, translucent spores that are difficult to
yes,
see, measure.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
just
go
just
to.
like I remember how much I cursed when I measured the spores of Amanita section validae. Boy, oh boy, these elliptical spores just drive me nuts. That don't stain, with the Meltzers.
Well, this is a good example, kind of how frustrating it is to do microscopy on things that
Oh,
one are just covered in sand, and two, whose profile under a sandy microscope slip are just tumbling. So you're trying to get that good profile, but you can't. Also, this is an interesting name. If anyone has any familiarity with Laccaria maritima, please speak up because it seems to be either misunderstood or very rare. It's a Laccaria. It's found. I found this in sand dune. I would say no. Maybe a paleo dune. Jason, maybe you can help me out with that. But the description of this thing, which is on the IUCN red list, I think it landed there only because of the habitat ecological community that it's found in. Zoom in on the last spore, Chris, if you could. Yeah, look at that. So if you look at the Q, well, you can see some of the words and connections on that one, but on the last one, yeah, if you look at the Q, it might be approaching 2. It might be somewhere 1.6,
Looks like about
1.7.
1.7, 1.8 to me.
Right. Yeah,
And that's unusual for Laccaria.
right. Yep. So I'm pretty sure that's what this is, and we didn't even talk about the macro of the thing. If you want to go back to that, which is pretty interesting, especially the cap trooping. You can see it's a hygroscopic thing that, and in this setting has kind of soaked up a bunch of water. I'm pretty sure that's what this thing is. It's not rooting, so it's not Laccaria trulicata, I think. But then again, there are some questions about the true trulicata. So yeah, I think that's what this thing is, and I'm curious if anyone has any experience with Laccaria maritima.
I do not.
Where was this?
Crossley Preserve, true pine barrens. I mean,
Not maritime,
not
but
maritime,
still
correct?
Dooney.
Yeah. But this thing, if you look up the description of it, is reported from dunes and paleo dunes. And I believe where I found this is a paleo dune setting.
Yeah, I mean, most of the I'm reading the IUCN page, which is based on European records. So I would
Yep.
consider this IUCN listed in Europe. But uh, it says it's mostly ectomycorrhizal with salix willows, which I'm pretty sure there were none at this site. And then it says possibly also ectomycorrhizal with pines, but this needs to be confirmed, and that'll be much more likely here. So I suspect this is something different than maritima. Not that that's not the correct name to apply, but since this is primarily a European species and not associated with willow,
Yeah,
could be a
yeah,
cryptic thing.
that was my takeaway as well, Jason, is yeah, it's obviously not associating with salix, but that IUCN red list, especially for these European species, they really associate them with the ecological community and not, the actual mushroom. For example, uh, some of the earth tongues, Trichoglossum voltarii, that's on the IUCN red list. I find that all over New Jersey all the time, but it's protected under that list because of the ecological community that it associates with in the UK and in England, in Europe. So I don't know, how does that apply here in the U.S.? Is it the same species? Is it a species complex? Has it evolved to, not have to associate with those compromised ecological communities? I don't know. But Eva something on Mushroom Observer, she has a lot of these observations of maritima that look super similar to this. And they're not in those compromised ecological communities. So I don't know. This one should certainly be sequenced.
Now, Eva does her collecting in somewhere in Canada. Is she close to one of the Great Lakes? Is she close to
Yes.
like where the dunes are along the lakes?
Yes, she is. She is, and her name is Eva Skific.
Skific, right?
Yeah, I think she is from one of those formerly Yugoslavian states. Croatian, she's probably Croatian. Yeah.
And she does pretty good work from what I've seen.
Yeah, she collects a lot, just like Huafang. And if you prod her a little bit, she gives you some additional details, but she doesn't, post a ton of information other than the pictures and, just the normal volume of metadata in those observations. She rarely puts any notes. So you have to ask her questions. And she's nice to answer them from time to time. But the name of the game is volume. She's good for volume of things, not necessarily detail. Yeah, I just put a link to this website that features red listed species, and maritima is European. And it's quite rare too.
Right. Yeah. Well,
but they do say there's a few records from North America in the website.
Yeah. I think Noah Siegel has had a couple sequenced from the U.S. that they match maritima. You know that I don't know how to evaluate how much that matches, but it's probably a closely related species, maybe something different.
I'm pretty whatever. I mean, I just can't believe, how do you get so much sand under them?
Yeah, I mean, these things, I mean, I collect tricholomas and they're just the same. They're just covered with sand everywhere on the top of cap, the stem, it gets into the gills.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you cannot even eat those things. I mean, we have somebody in the club who eats them. Like, well, maybe they just don't notice all that grit in their teeth because that would be very crunchy. After you wash them and process them, you're still going to get grains of salt, grains of sand embedded in the gills. Just impossible to get them out.
I wonder to what extent that also prevents animals from eating them as well.
Oh,
Squirrels
good
wouldn't
call.
care.
Yeah, deer. I mean, I literally had deer following me. They didn't eat them. Oh yeah, Phlegmacium. I'm using a name that I'm already contradicting. I think it actually is Thixterogaster is the proper genus for this mushroom. But it's a Cortinariaceae. I guess we have to do now.
Well, I think the Phlegmacium species are the ones that are started out being viscid on the caps only, but then they dry out and they're shiny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Rexogaster is similar, actually.
It is, and I think the Xterogaster, the differentiator is that it has like a membranous universal veil. Really, it's a sac, and you can kind of see it in this photograph.
Oh, like a vulva.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is probably the better one if you want to zoom in. You can see that membranous ring. There's kind of a sheathing on the base. And
Cool.
then that wispy, cortina, that is the not the universal veil, partial veil. Yeah, some radial streaking on this as well.
Nice.
That's the young one with, and you can see that kind of membranous UV breaking away, even away from the cottony, cobwebby. Yeah. So it's one of those. Yeah, it's got a universal veil, and I think that's what the what is it? The Xteragaster. I think that's the separation there, but I don't have these well worked out.
Oh, well.
Some nice photos there. It's interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can zoom in on this one. It's got really interesting serrate gills as well.
Oh, wow. That is nice.
Yeah, it's super cool. You can make out all of the things that I just talked about in this photo, and I still have no idea what genus to put it in.
And what is this? Phlegate, Phlegmacium?
Phlegmacium.
Phlegmacium, yeah. It's a
Uh,
former subgenus, I think, or a section or something like that in Cortinariaceae. And now it's a new genus after that paper that did the shotgun whole genome sequencing and split up Cortinarius into 10 different things.
Hmm. Great.
Yeah, just another generic Phlegmacium with serrated gills. Yeah, I mean you can try and sequence this and see where that thing falls.
so Igor, you read that paper, and I reread it recently. You agree this is Phlegmacium and not Thexterogaster?
I think this is Phlegmacium based
Yeah.
on the generic looks of it. But yeah, I have to look up the species concept of the other one that you named, Thaxagaster, whatever that thing is.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping we could breeze through that. Good pictures, but who knows what to call it?
You got real good
Phlegmacium.
pictures.
Well, here's the thing, if we had money, we would probably sequence everything that we find in the Pine Barrens and get a very good idea of where we are. But John and Nina have accumulated a species list that's probably over 700 species long. So it'd be a nice thing to, now with nanopore sequencing, this is something that's probably doable. We have to have plenty of volunteers and then just, have a bunch of money and get them sequenced. At $3 a piece, $2,100.
Yeah, it's not bad. We can. I'm willing to volunteer at least.
Yeah, I mean, we can. Some probably people can chip in, a little bit of money. I'm yet to get in touch with Fundus because they sort of agreed that they can sequence our stuff using, our own funds, but I have no idea how much they charge, and I guess I'll find out soon enough. And if they charge a reasonable amount of money, maybe that's the way to go because you don't have to wait a year to get your sample sequence with nanopore.
Yeah, does Fundus still do Sanger?
I don't know, but I don't want to get involved with Sanger with Fundus because it's going to be very expensive.
Yeah, that's why I asked that.
Not to
would
mention
be-
it's going to be a lot of work too, processing.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I
you
mean,
really have to work
if
with the raw
if
data.
sequences are clean, if they're not encumbered by heterogeneity, all these haplotypes, then it's pretty easy. To edit them, to clean them up. It just takes like 5 minutes, literally. You just have to check both ends and note any ambiguities, and you're done. But if you have any other technical issues with the sequence, it could be a while. So for high throughput approach, I don't think Sanger is a good idea in terms of both finances and the amount of effort you have to put into processing these sequences. I still love Sanger, for like small volume work. You feel like you're being part of it. Whereas with Nanopore, you're just being given the final sequence and somebody basically puts it together, be the computer or a person who does the final editing. So you have nothing to do with that process. They just give you the finished product. With Sanger, you get to be part of that process.
And then you have to do the whole blast and figure it out thing.
Yeah. And that's the other side. That's also very time consuming because you will get, you sequence something like this and you're going to get probably 20 names in that page of hits. And then you have to figure out which of them makes sense.
So the sequence is the start of it.
Yeah, I mean, unless now they have maybe not just types, but neotypes, epitypes, you can get a quick answer. Whereas 5 or 6, 10 years ago, this was not this was a problem that you would not be able to get anything from GenBank because there were no type collection sequenced. Anyway, so let's just move on onto the toothless hedgehogs here.
Toothful.
Toothless.
Toothful. So I'm calling it Rapandum group. But I don't know what to do with these.
You know what to do with them.
Eat them.
There's only one thing you can do with them. If you want to know what name it is, you have to sequence them. Yeah, of course you can go with microscopy and read those papers by Baroni and so forth and figure them out.
Well, there are a lot of resources that say Rapandum sensu latu, right? There are a few species, right? Is the only, it's not umbilicatum, right? It's not
maybe not. I recently got some information back on sequencing from some that turned out to be umbilicatum, and they didn't look like what I thought they should look like. Let me see if I'll put it in the chat. I'll see if I can find.
Isn't the umbilicatum actually absent from Eastern North America, or it's rare? I forget.
No, I think that one's been found in Eastern North America. I think. Well, that's one that I sent to Steve. I forget if it was Steve or Ohio identified as. I'll find it. I'll put it in the chat. I'll find it. It'll take me a minute.
When we sequenced a couple of collections of hedgehogs a while back, they came out to be subolympicum. And I think both collections came from the Pine Barrens. But I'm not here to say that that's what these are because we probably have more than one species in the Pine Barrens.
Yeah. Do you remember if they, looked like this, had the irregular kind of caps and subdecrum?
Yeah, irregular. And I think one collection far exceeded the dimensions that were reported in the paper.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like almost 5 inches across.
Wow.
So what do you get? What do you do with these when you're eating them? Or are these a thing you gotta peel teeth off or something weird?
Don't peel the teeth off. They're great. This is where the flavor is. Dave makes them toothless. I object to that.
Mm-hmm.
I
I know
agree.
that's been a conversation.
I'm sorry, what's the objection?
The objection is from doing orthodontal work on the hedgehogs.
What, you mean scraping the
Yeah,
spines off?
Yeah,
he called you a
exactly.
dentist.
I don't like the spines the way they feel in my mouth.
Oh, I love the spines. I think they're great. They have great texture, and that's where the flavor is, I think. The juicy parts.
Just
Try
makes
these one
Igor an
day.
anti-dentite.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you can make these into hash. Like you substitute these for corned beef and chop up some potatoes and onions and make hash. And that's pretty good.
No, I'm not anti, I'm pro-dental.
That was my mistake. I meant to call Dave an anti-dentite.
Uh-huh.
Pro-dentite, yeah. So,
So I have my thing that was sequenced. And let's see. Oh no, okay. No, wrong one. Wrong observation. Let me see.
where is that?
Was Hydnum subconatum mentioned?
No.
No.
Well, okay, so that's one that looks like that I had sequenced. And I thought I had something sequenced. The sequence said was umbilicatum, but maybe I'm forgetting. So I'm looking at a blast of this subconatum thing. It does not look unlike what Brandon has here. The mushrooms, that is. Let me see what the blast says. It's being slow.
Never seem to find these fresh. Every time I find them, they're just awful.
Yeah, these were prime. They were delicious. I did not remove the teeth.
Do they not persist well?
I think they hold up pretty well, like in the refrigerator, but I don't know how long they persist in the wild.
I think they're pretty hardy out there, actually.
I think actually, Chris, that's why you find them beat up, because they tend to not decay very readily. So
Yeah.
they stay in situ, but they get kind of weathered. So my subconatum, it's the best matches are with subconatum, but only a little bit over 99% identity. Here, I'll put one in the chat.
So that's interesting that you bring that up. A little bit over 99. Isn't anything over like 99, 98 considered kind of a lock?
No,
No. Okay.
98 will. A lot of times that's what they call sister species, right? I mean, Igor, you know more about this.
Yeah, well, again, it depends on the intraspecific variability. For some species, the gap could be as wide as 3%, although I'm skeptical about that, but 1.5 is not uncommon. I mean, if you get enough ambiguities or uh, other ancestral haplotypes, in there, yeah, I mean, for ITS, I think anything above 98.5% probably is the same species. But you have to be careful. I mean, if you look, if you work with Agaricus, this is where that theory pretty much fails. You can be just a couple of bases, in difference, and you have two different species. So but for other things, yeah, I mean, basically, it's an empirical parameter, intraspecific variability. You have to really establish it through sequencing of multiple collections.
So ultimately, what you're saying is, for that, would you say 98.5?
Yeah.
That's for
Well,
things that maybe aren't looked at enough, or we don't have enough empirical evidence for yet, but for established things that
yeah,
have been,
right. But
sequenced.
you've got to have a good amount of data, and you have to look at the alignments. So, like I said, you may have uh, single nucleotide polymorphisms within the ITS sequence. And if you get a bunch of them, these mismatches or the ambiguities, your value is going to go down, but it's still the same species. So I'm saying that 98.5% could be still perfectly acceptable for a lot of species to be the same.
Yeah. I've
Um,
been running into some arguments, uh, mainly put by people on INET, making a claim for 98, 98.5% or a little higher, maybe being good enough, because of these things you're talking about, Igor. I guess
right.
these like
Well,
indels and things that just throw off the matches.
yeah, you can have gaps because of the say homopolymeric regions. You have 5 Gs in a row, or you can have 6 Gs in a row, and the gap is not a mismatch.
Yeah,
It's just that's how these things are. So you have to factor those things in. They're not hardcore mismatches, so you have to throw them out. They don't matter.
but I
And you have
believe that the GenBank counts one of these things as a non-matched base pair.
right, but you have to align sequences and look at their structure, and then
Right,
you get a much clearer picture and much clearer judgment where
right,
you can call this the same species or not. So
right.
I'm here looking at a collection that we made at Stokes a few years ago. We got it sequenced through Ohio, and it happens to be Hydnum vagabundum. Okay, and there's basically only like a dozen sequences of the species in GenBank, and the vast majority of them are above 99%. So when I blasted my sequence, I got 4 that are 100%, and then almost the rest are 99 and above. Only one collection or maybe two are 98.3%. And when you zoom in, when you compare the alignment between my sequence and that more divergent sequence, you can see that there are two ambiguities. So instead of a T, you have a C, that's a Y. And then you also have two mismatching characters as gaps in a poly T motif. Okay, so pretty much I think they're the same, mushroom. So I'm trying to say that 98.5% still legit in this case. So it could well be the case with other species as well. You can have 90% similarity and it's still the same species.
Okay, by the way, I put 2 links in the chat. One is to a sequenced collection of subconnotatum, and the other is a sequenced collection of umbilicatum. And the umbilicatum sequence is a pretty strong match for several ITS sequences labeled umbilicatum on GenBank.
Yeah,
And
but you have to
can,
fish out the one that is important. It's probably a type or a neotype or an epitope, and that's the one that matters.
Right.
can I interject just real quick, because it's a good conversation and I want to stay with it. Um, this is a great conversation about Hydnum, right? The umbilicatum and the rapandum groups and all that, and the separation between them. But that is genus that has been looked at, right? That type specimens have been sequenced and this, that,
Correct.
and the other. So when we're talking about this outside of the genus Hydnum and some of these kind of more cryptic genera, what do we, there's less information there. So does that loosen or tighten the the match percentage, right? For these cryptic things, is 92? Oh yeah, it's close, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
So is
92
it
is way too
something?
low. Basically,
So
if
it's
you ever
something different. So it's something completely different at that point.
right. No, I'm saying that, the conventional wisdom was that 3% was the rule. I think 3% is too wide.
Mm.
And uh, you have to, again, look at the alignments. You get all the hits that are, anywhere from 97 to 100%, and you start looking at sequence alignments. And then you say, and then you have to build rudimentary trees to see how these things actually spread out on a tree. So that's going to give you insights, which groups you have. Are they subspecies? Are they species? Are they just different populations? This is where all these intricacies come in, for things that that haven't been, typed. So you don't know what species you're dealing with, and you don't know how many species you have in there because it's still complicated. But you're getting like an early insight, but you need more work. Now
Yep.
with Hydnum, everything has been typed and sequenced, so you can say with 100% certainty that that's going to be that species. All right, it's been well studied.
But by the way, my umbilicatum that was sequenced, it's 100% match to a sequence authored by Sweeney and Matheny. So
Right, but
that,
you have to see what you have to find the one that's important. But basically, if it came from that paper, that means that that's what it is. That's the bottom line. But ideally, you want to look for a sequence that actually has some kind of a scientific importance.
right.
It's coming from a
Yeah, I
paper.
know. I haven't looked at all of them, and that's the one that I looked at, and that's what I found so far.
So this is
The
where
match
the
for
bulk
that.
of
I
the
mean,
work
that sounds
is.
pretty good, though.
Yeah, I mean that's where the bulk
Because
of the
that's
work
what
is.
because Rachel
You have
Sweeney
to.
worked on. That's what she worked on.
No, I'm just saying that when you deal with genetic data and GenBank, you have to fish out this information. That's where all the work comes in. Getting a sequence is fairly easy. Getting a validated results takes a long time, sometimes.
The other thing you got to remember too is that ITS may not be the best region for that particular genus. So if you're working with some weird thing and you get a 99%, that doesn't really mean anything if you don't know how well ITS is differentiated from that particular group of fungi.
Right, and prime examples are Agaricus and Cortinariaceae. This is where you have 99.6% similarity, but you're dealing with two different species.
You're not literally doing side by side comparisons, are you?
Pardon me?
Yes.
Like, I can't, I just can't, I guess, imagine it in my head. Like, you're not looking at like A's, G's, and T's and whatever on one side of the screen and then like looking at another one on the other side of the
No, it's much simpler. Basically, the program aligns so they're stacked. You have two sequences on top of each other, and when they match, you have a line coming through. The stacked basis. When they don't match, you have a blank space. Or if one sequence is longer than the other, then you have to insert dashes, and that's where you see the differences between them. So no, I mean you're visually looking at an alignment, but it's already done for you. Okay. You don't have to look at one screen and another screen. It's on one screen.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, one day I'll show you.
Yeah, I have, it's difficult to visualize what's going on, and that would be interesting to see how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Well,
There,
I mean, I can share a screen right now and show it to you, pretty much.
Yeah, there's some good YouTube videos like Danny Miller, is it, who does DNA talks and stuff, and yeah, you'll see sequences lined up on top of each other, like Igor's saying.
Yeah,
Cool.
I actually have a GenBank, window open where I was looking at the data for Hydnum vagabandum, and I can click on the window and I can show you, if I can share a screen, what an alignment looks like,
Go for it.
if people want to see it.
Why not?
All right, so please unshare.
I'm not sharing.
Nobody's sharing?
Nobody's sharing.
Okay, so let me do this then. Chrome tab. I think it's this one. All right, can everybody see?
Yeah.
So I took my sequence of vagabandum from Stokes, and I blasted it. So you can see the top 4 lines are the 100%, and the third line is the type collection of Hydnum vagabandum from Tennessee. I think it's from Tennessee. It's from Tennessee Herbarium, and if you look at the metadata here, it's going to say it was collected actually in Texas. So I'm wrong. So even though it's in the herbarium at Tennessee, it's actually the type is hails from Texas, but that's not the important thing. So here is the collection of vagabandum here that I'm putting a check mark next to it. That's 98.5%, similar to the type. And when you click on the alignment, this is the alignment. So you see, you have a query and a subject. So the query is the type collection essentially, and the subject is that other vagabandum. So you can see here that you have an A at the top of A, T at the top of T. Okay, so the top line has, so the query and the subject are aligned. Okay, and you have these double lines, one after another, stacked. But it's a sequence, okay? It's a sequence of 544 characters.
That is like literally what I was wondering.
Right. So you see here, for instance, this character Y means that in this particular sequence, which is a subject, which is this thing, this particular voucher MAS 233213, okay, it has both C and T at that position. So that's why it's called a Y. So that's an ambiguity, okay? So that's a single nucleotide polymorphism. Here we have the thing I was referring to, a homopolymeric region, when you have several the same characters in a row. So the subject has how many here? Like 8, and the one above, which is the query, only has 6. So you see there are 2 gaps. So one sequence is longer, the bottom sequence is longer than the top sequence, okay? By 2 characters, because this one only has 6 T's in a row, okay? They're just missing. So this is what you have to take into account. But when you look overall at the structure of this alignment of that sequence, they are essentially identical. Yes, you're going to have additional mismatching characters. You have like an ambiguity here. There's another Y, okay? And there's another ambiguity R, which is basically either A or G. But then you're going to have a clear mismatch, which is here. At that position, the subject has a G, but the type collection, the query has an A. So that's a hardcore ambiguity. Okay, that's a hardcore mismatch. Sorry, not ambiguity, mismatch. But overall, again, these 2 collections, these 2 sequences are very, very similar. So therefore, I think they're the same species, even though they're only 98.5% similar to each other.
Yeah, but I mean, like one little thing. I mean, like we're talking like an infinitesimally small bit of material that's different.
Right. Let's look at another
I
sequence.
think the key here that Igor is stressing is that some of the mismatches are due to ambiguities.
There are ambiguities and gaps. You have to
Yeah.
insert characters for alignment because one sequence is shorter than the other because things will be missing. So here's the type of Hydnum repandum. Okay, it says Hydnum repandum type collection. All right. So let's look at the alignment between vagabundum and repandum. And you can clearly see that there's, it's 97%, and you have a lot of differences here in the last 3 lines of alignments. You have a lot of mismatching positions. So this is the ITS2 region, and it's more of a fingerprint region apparently for these 2 species. You can see there's a lot of mismatching positions here, and hence you can conclude that most likely these are 2 different things, and they are. But if you look at the ITS1 region, which is probably the first, maybe, I don't know, 4 lines, here things are much more conserved. They're much more alike, I would say. But even here, you have mismatching positions like here, G versus A versus C, and T versus G. These are hardcore mismatching positions.
Igor, I run into sequences on GenBank where the word type is not so prominent as what you showed.
Correct. So that was,
I had to look in the write up of it,
correct. So this sequence was verified by GenBank as type because it has a unique code. So NR is basically a series for type collections.
NR means the
Yeah,
type.
so NR underscore and then the number, right here. So that would signify a type, a validated type sequence in GenBank.
So the ones that begin with the prefix NR.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's good to know.
Now you do. So the type of repandum is from Finland.
Huh.
And that's probably epitype. And it says so, the epitype of Hydnum repandum. So this is not the original holotype, which was probably lost or unsequenceable. So they declared an epitype collection, a substitute for the type. Anyway, so this is just too much. We should move on. But if anybody is interested specifically, about sequencing and DNA, we could probably have a separate session on that alone.
We should do that because
yeah, we definitely should do that over the winter.
I
Let me
noticed
stop sharing, and we can move on.
Hunter
Yes,
had
I agree. We should do that. Maybe in more than one session, we can focus on specific mushrooms that have been sequenced that are interesting, and see what kind of genetic data there's out there in GenBank, and have these refined discussions about alignments and where you draw a line between species.
I would like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh
Hunter,
yeah, great idea. I'm not finding a type for umbilicatum on GenBank.
Let me look for it. But I'll do this in the background. So you go ahead and let's have another mushroom.
Oh, okay. Nothing too exciting this week. This is Sarcomyxa serotina. And I like finding it. It's a nice winter mushroom and an edible mushroom. It's mukitake in Japanese, and I did the microscopy. It had kind of, well, the spores weren't that visible on the slide, but when I don't have any photos of the microscopy, but I did. But that is the underside, that next picture. And the spores are supposedly like a cream to yellow, but they didn't really show up on the slide. It just kind of looked like sort of kind of a milky kind of substance. But when I looked at them under the microscope, they were allantoid, So they kind of look, they were very thin and look sort of like little worms. And there was a ton of them. There was just too many to get a good picture because I was rushing, and my mom's been in the hospital, so I've also been in the hospital like since I found them, basically, and until like an hour before our session. But she's getting better, so that's good. But I liked finding them. I like doing the microscopy, and I'm hoping we get some more out. We got some rain, and I'm gonna try to cook them up again. I didn't care for them much. I haven't found them too appetizing yet. I understand they need to be cooked more than an oyster, for example. So I'm gonna give them another shot. But their colors are so pretty, and so I enjoyed finding them and didn't have much else to share, so I thought I'd share them. They often have much more green in them, in the caps. The color can be really, really pretty and varies quite a bit.
What's the name on these?
Sarcomyxa serotina.
Cool.
Yeah, and it is in Japan, they really value it. I think it has some medicinal qualities, and they call it muki taki.
Do you know how they prepare them in Japan?
I've read before, but I don't know. But I do know it involves more cooking. Do you know?
No, when I eat these, I usually just put them into a stir fry.
Okay. And do you enjoy them?
Well, they're not bad. That sometimes they're a little bit
Bitter.
sort of soft. I
Oh,
guess if you get them really young, they're probably best. Like a lot of things. I was in the woods last year, Ricketts Glen, and these two people, an older woman, maybe 70 or so, and a young guy, maybe in his 20s, came stumbling down the ridge, off trail with baskets full of these. They must have had like 10 pounds of them. And I couldn't get the woman to tell me how she prepared them, like, some big secret, but
yeah.
they were going to eat them, Now I'm imagining, though, that many of them, they had to be preserving them. So I wonder how they preserved them. Wonder if they pickle them or if they dry them, or I don't know.
Is this a thing with these? This
Well,
bottom.
they grow on wood, and yeah, they looked very interesting, but they have a very short stem.
Yeah,
So
this is a long stem for the species. I mean,
The
I
way
agree,
they're
you're right
joined.
about what they are, but that's a
yeah,
big stem. The stems are big on these.
yeah, they really barely have them, like crepidotus almost. Um, but yeah, I don't know why they're looking that way. I don't think that's that typical.
Hmm. Cool.
Yeah, I was really hoping to have some good microscopy, but my spore prints were too thick, and I didn't really.
You know what? When that happens, look on your microscope slide for where the spore print is thinning out,
Right.
and
Yeah.
drop your liquid, where this
There.
is pretty thin looking,
Okay.
and then tap the slip also to push them around a little bit, and you can usually find an area where they're spread out enough.
Yeah. I was really short on time, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah. And so I showed something similar to this, kind of a dried out one that had an umbo not too long ago. And I liked how it has the zones of color. Um, the other one was very similar, and I think the other one was an anosogby, and I'm leaning towards that with this one. I have a gill shot. I think also the spore print was light on this, white light maybe, but then it would not be an anosebe, right?
Anosebes have light brown spore prints,
Okay,
but they are distinctly brown spore prints. These gills don't look like anosebe to me.
okay.
And this was on red on wood.
Yeah, this was on wood for sure.
Yeah, the only anosebe I know that grows on wood is Tubareoides. And
Okay.
it grows like on litter, like woody litter, forest litter,
Oh,
sticks and things. Otherwise, anosebes are terrestrial.
okay. Yeah,
I
I
don't know
really
what
need
you
to
have
get,
here.
okay.
Is that a mycena, maybe an antheloma?
Yeah, I would lean more towards Antheloma, but you know, I actually did the microscopy, and this one had
Oh wow.
very limited spores. They were what I thought were the spores. I did it in KOH, and I'm I don't know if what I thought were the spores were irregular, but not profoundly Antheloma like. Um, yeah, and again, I was really rushing, and I'm not sure, but I like the look of it, and yeah, I wish I had more to offer.
So yeah, you didn't get a picture of the spores then, I guess, right?
No, yeah, they were just. I mean, I don't not one that I wanted to share. I might have, but
Right.
yeah, I was yeah not impressed with any of the microscopy. I think I didn't even bother to try to take pictures because it just wasn't.
You know, if you get a huge spore print too of anything and it's just too much, just grab a piece of the gill. There will be some spores around.
Yeah, and I still have these. They're just like dry sitting. I mean, I basically had to like leave my house like immediately and left them there. So maybe I can do some more work on them. Maybe. And then I have one more and or a couple more. So this is just Trichaptum biforme, but it was really pretty. And so I just snapped a shot. And one more after that. Yeah, with two pictures. So this was in my neighbor's yard, and I am thinking it's an Agaricus. And this was from this weekend. But this I tried to do a spore print on, and it was one of those situations where I covered it with a bowl, and then it overnight, and then the next morning it was all mushy and humid and wet, and so that backfired covering it
Yeah,
as
that's why I don't do that.
yeah, I know it just it seems like
Mm.
Oh, Hunter,
So
did you
light.
use Hunter?
what's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something else. This looks like the agaricus that I found in my yard on the 4th.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so another fall agaricus. And what did you name yours?
Agaricus.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
It's rare that I feel like I can put a species name on these.
Yeah.
And there's a few, um, Placomyces. I think I can put a species name on that usually. And
Yeah, that
maybe a
is the yellow.
bulbous, but most of them are, especially
Um,
these like meadow mushroom type ones. They
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the gills in this thing are suspiciously white.
Mm. Yeah.
it's just very young. It might be this might be in section arvenses.
No,
where the
this
gills-
at this stage of development, the gills should already be at least pink.
I think this is an agaricus.
I'm not saying it's not Agaricus,
Yeah.
but maybe it's Leucoagaricus or something. I don't think
Oh, Leucoagaricus.
I don't think this is an Agaricus in the strict sense. The gills are way too white. They're discolored, but not because of the age, but because of the weather. But I think they're white. Yeah,
Well, if you get a
not
spore
young.
print, you can tell very easily because Leucoagaricus has white spores.
Okay, unfortunately, yeah, this got all soggy, but we got more rain, and was right next door, so maybe a few more popped up. I'll take a look tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm not completely confident that this is Agaricus.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We can have some doubt about that. I think it is, but
And look at the annulus.
wouldn't
It
bet
goes
$20.
all the way. It goes all the way into the apex of this type, which is unusual for Agaricus.
Well, that would be even more unusual for Leucoagaricus, I think.
But the gills are suspect. The ring structure can vary, but in my opinion, at this stage of development, the gills in Agaricus should be of a very different color than this. And you can see it's white near the stem. Agaricus will have white gills early on, early in development, but it quickly changes into pink.
Well, the section arvenses go from gray to brown with hardly any pink stage.
Yeah, I know they aren't all that real pink too. I will try to see if there's more specimens and get a spore print if there are, and solve this mystery.
Nice.
By the way, Hunter, before I forget, did you see I posted some stuff on MO? I got your collection sequenced.
Oh, wonderful.
And
I have been meaning to look. I know a lot of my boletes. I think you probably put some names.
no, I sequenced two collections. One was bolete, was a bolete. The other one was an Amanita, that section of a genata.
Oh, yeah, that Amanita. Yeah. What did you
Yeah.
find out? Yeah, no, I haven't had a chance. I need to. I've been wanting to look at that, and yeah, and yeah. So, do you know offhand, or do you want to share it or anything, or?
Well, I mean, I can share. I mean, the bolete turned out to be Van Maue Pseudus sensibilis, as I suspected. So that
Okay.
was no mystery. The
That little silver
that
Amanita.
silver Amanita was Amanita species 61,
Oh, cool.
which is rare.
Nice.
On Mushroom Observer, there's only one observation, which is this one. I had to create a name on MO for it.
Exciting.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So Rod Tallis apparently, sequenced that species, and he created that cryptic code 61. So 61 actually is a very old code, and I think it's from New Jersey.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's very cool. Yeah.
So yeah,
be looking for that again in the same spot.
It's certainly not a species that I'm familiar with. Well, I take it back. There are 4 observations on the MO of that taxon, and all of them have been sequenced. And when you compare your specimen with the other 3, you'll see how variable the species is in its appearance. It can range from dark brown or medium brown to zoned gray color, like in yours. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. That's very exciting. And
yeah, I was pretty sure that a mushroom observer would notify you about the changes that I made to observations. So maybe they went into your spam box or something. So it's possible.
they have come. I haven't had a chance to catch up. I've been really, really swamped with things, but I need to look at all my mushroom observer notifications. I haven't been able to keep up with them
All right
now.
Hunter, what's your name on MO? Is it just Hunter?
Yeah, Hunter Leduc, like all one word, I think.
Oh, okay. Because if you search your MO observations and just click activity, not date.
Yeah.
something that where something was added to the observation.
Oh, that'll
If it
pop
was
right
done
up.
recently, it'll come up amongst the first ones.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I definitely got the notifications as well. I just haven't been able to look at them, unfortunately. But I will. And especially now that I know that one of them's or two are sequences. So super exciting. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, those are the ones that you sent me recently. I don't think you sent me
Yeah.
anything else, but yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we got to the bottom of those IDs. So
Yeah. And quickly, like,
and quickly, yeah,
yeah, really nice. Yeah. Really appreciate it. That's super cool.
sure.
Yeah.
You're
Thanks.
certainly welcome. Yeah, and um, those were Sanger sequences, but the sequences were of good quality, so there's no question about the IDs.
Excellent, excellent. I need to make up some chemicals. I still haven't done that, and I might need to hit you up for some instructions again on the dry ingredients and stuff and what to do with them. So maybe I might email you this week or something.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go down to the GSMS annual foray in Louisiana again
Oh,
in December. Yeah, the second weekend. So it'd be nice to maybe have some stuff made up by then to use down there. I'm gonna bring my microscope too, which will be good. That should be helpful for me. Get some use out of it.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys should come down.
Yeah, it's a long trip. I got to man up and make that trip. So
Yeah.
I found Hunter's Amanita on MO. I'm gonna paste it into the chat, the observation.
Thank you. I think it's been
There
a bit
it is.
down
There it
there.
is. I just put it in.
Hopefully it will rain. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I love this
By the
Amanita.
way, on Mushroom Observer, your name is Let Duke Hunter
Oh,
with
okay.
spaces in between. LE space DUC space Hunter.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. The Duck Hunter. Yeah, that is good.
And
Oh, yeah,
there's not a sequence posted, but there is.
oh,
yeah, I didn't post the sequence because I still have to edit the 5' end and the 3' end that were a little bit broad.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
the
but
sections that were legible when I blasted them, they were spot on. But
okay.
Oh, good.
I will post the sequence soon.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
It's certainly an interesting species. I mean, I'm looking at the observation now, and I remember talking about this one, and I didn't know what it was. It's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, the other two collections. So the other two collections came from one came from New Jersey, I think, and the other came from Arizona. So
Oh,
this thing is all over. Like they've been finding a lot of our Amanitas in Arizona too, which is unusual, I think.
yeah. I need to get there during their season, which is unfortunately not when I really want to go there, but like a lot of places actually. But I think
Yeah,
they have really good mushrooms, it's just not when I want to go to Arizona in August and September.
right. Not to mention that it's far away, at least from where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to fly there. If it's conceivable, I could drive to Louisiana or something like that. Driving to Arizona is going to be impossible.
Yeah, for me too. Yeah. Hmm.
So Dave, Amanita species 61, we got one of your collections sequenced from Moon Lake State.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, let me see.
Let's see that.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, it's observation 170338.
Oh, wow.
And
Can you
that
put it
thing
in the
is
chat?
brown. Yeah, sure.
Good.
Control C.
Within 60 days, were received a free and
Control V. Okay.
more than 3,000.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Thanks.
Hundreds answered the call for loyalists.
Oh wow. Look at that. Yeah,
Yes,
they're kind of small.
yeah,
Yeah.
unlike yours, it's completely brown, so it's a different shade of cap. So that's
Yeah, and
why
it doesn't have all that UV stuff on the cap.
no, it's older, it's more beaten up, but
Yeah.
but you can see you can already appreciate the variability in cap color and vaginate. That's why you need sequencing. You cannot identify
Yeah.
them really easily just by looking at them.
Yeah, and this one appears to have the round spores also, that is the most typical sort of shape. Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
forgot about this one. This is way back 2014. Huh. Interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Well,
Nice.
if no one else has got anything to share, getting on 9:30.
Bianca probably has something.
Too cold, and I get out when it's dark, so no.
You have nothing?
I have bupkis.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Or maybe she has something. She's been really quiet today.
Yeah.
Shihong, do you have anything? She's probably off. I mean,
Yeah.
she's here, but she's not near her phone.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to call it, but thank you everyone so much.